All right, so using angle measurements to solve multi-step equations. I need everybody's attention. So we're now using our angle relationships to solve for a missing angle and using our equations. If you did not turn in your pop quiz, make sure you do that before we begin the notes. All right, the first step when we're trying to solve using multi-step equations or solving for the missing value, we need to complete some steps. And the first step is to identify the type of angle given. So let's write that. We're going to identify the type of angle given. Meaning, is it supplementary? Is it complementary? Is it vertical? Are they just adjacent? So I'm just writing that to the side to kind of give me an idea of what I'm talking about when I say identify the type of angle. The next thing that I need to do is, now I know what type of angle it is, I want to identify or determine the relationship of the two angles. So I wanted to determine the relationship of the two angles. Now, what I mean by that is, if they are supplementary, they add up to 180 degrees. If they're complementary, 90 degrees. If they're vertical, they're equal. If they're adjacent, they're side by side. So those are the things I'm thinking about. That's why I'm writing them really small. So first, identify the type of angle. Second, what is the relationship of those types of angles? And now our third is set up an equation. Set up an equation and solve for the missing value. Set up an equation and solve for the missing value. So for this problem here, what type of angle is this?
Complementary.
Complementary. So I know these are words you're not used to using. Refer to your notes for spelling. Don't just write complementary, spell it some kind of crazy way. I understand the first few times we use this word, you don't know how to spell it, but continue to look over your notes. Now, what is our key information about a complementary angle?
90 degrees.
They add up to 90 degrees. So add up to 90 degrees. That is a key information. So now if I write an equation, we're going to write what? X plus 20 equals 90 degrees. I just added up the two angles, X and 20, to give me 90 degrees. Now I can solve for X. How can I solve for X? Subtract 20 from both sides. And my solution is X is equal to 70 degrees. So I know X is 70. I'm going to also go ahead and write it over here, 70 degrees. All right. Looking at the next one, these two angles are across from each other. So what type of angles are these? Vertical. They're made by two intersecting lines. We can see those two intersecting lines being this line and this line. And those two angles are across from each other, so they have to be vertical. Vertical angles are always what? The same. So they're what? Equal. So the key information here, equal angles. So for my equation, I'm going to write 2x plus 25 is equal to 50. And now I have a two-step equation I can work with. So 2x plus 25 is equal to 50. How am I going to solve for x? What's my first step? Subtract 25 from both sides. And now 2x is equal to 25. Divide by 2 is my next step. And x is equal to 12.5. So if they wanted me to know the angle that is unknown, I could write 50 degrees. I could also plug in 12.5 into x to make sure I get 25. So let's do this. Let's substitute to check our answer. So we're going to substitute to check our answer. So 2, I'm using this here. 2 times 12.5 plus 25. Well, we know 2 times 12.5 is 25. And 25 plus 25 is 50. And we know that these two angles are equal, so 50 would have to be the measure of the other angle. So that was just to check your answer. All right, going on to the next one. What type of angle is this that has formed a straight line? And it is a supplementary angle. We see our straight line formed here. This angle measurement and this measurement add up to what? So our key information is that these two angles add up to 180 degrees. So let's go ahead and add them up to 180. 60 plus 5x plus 5 is equal to 180 degrees. Any like terms? 60 and 5. 60 plus 5. All right, so we have 65 plus 5x is equal to 180. First step to solve, I need to subtract 65. Now I'm left with 5x is equal to 115. And now we're going to divide by 5. And x is equal to, what'd you say? 23. Now we could use our same process and plug this 23 back in. Make sure we get a valid number. But to solve the equation, all they want us to do right now is solve for x, so we're good. And then our last example, we're looking at what type of angle? Adjacent. These are angles that are adjacent. And adjacent means that they are side by side. Now we know these are side by side, but what are these angles supposed to add up to? They tell us here 50 degrees. Angle X, Y, Z adds up to 50 degrees. So I'm going to also write that in the key information. Sum of 50 degrees. So now for my equation, I have 2x, this angle here, plus 30, this angle here, is equal to 50 degrees. Now my first step to solve, I need to subtract 30 to both sides. I'm left with 2x is equal to 20. Now I'm going to divide by 2. Because I'm still solving for x. And x is equal to 10.